First up, we have Kenny Lau from Invest New Zealand. Now, Kenny looks after food production and the horticulture sector for NZTE's Greenfield team. The team supports New Zealand companies and greenfield projects during their investment journeys and helps them to connect to foreign direct investment. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kenny Lau.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenny. Is it the one to use? Oops. All right, okay, so I came from a crown agency called Invest NZ. It is only 1 month old. So we are actually, or I actually was from another organization called NZTE, and NZTE Investment was the earlier part of this organization. So our organization is here to, as a mandate to attract foreign direct investment. So we've been by adding value by a number of things, that including like building pipelines of investable deals across NZ, and then maintaining a strong offshore network to our investors, and then conducting pre-feasibility studies, supporting a feasibility study and business case of our projects, and then connect investments to our investors. I'm not going through all of them, but then I'm just trying to tell you that our organization is providing services and connections around the world to the producers and growers of your sector. So myself, I was originally from Hong Kong, so from my face you can tell. So I was relocated to Christchurch around 5 years ago. So previously, my background is investment banking. So same as our team, quite many of us are doing the same thing, that what we do helping people is connect to our international investors. So what I see things might be slightly different from yours because from Asian background. So I look at what's the value that we can add to the Asian market. And same for our European or North American colleagues, that they have a different viewpoint of certain deals. So today's topic is about like sustainable investment in horticulture. So my point of view is horticulture itself is a pathway to increase export, but with lower emissions. If we look at the primary sectors, I think livestock and many other primary sectors have been emitting a lot more carbon dioxide than our horticulture. But at the same time, horticulture is providing higher growth to the export, or to our export revenue. So it's been like only using 0.1% of our land and 1.1% of our greenhouse gas emissions, which is according to Hot NZ, that is from our hot sector. But then we're accounting for like 14% of our export values. So that means if we've been able to expand the horticulture production or export value, then it potentially could be lower the country's like emissions overall. So I think itself is quite sustainable, my point of view. Of course, I mean, we have to be conscious about the fertilizers that we use or the way that we do things, but itself, overall, it's a sustainable proposition. So what Invest NZ doing now, other than like connecting deals, we recently has been created or preparing a prospectus, just like what you've been investing into shares in IPO in the capital market. So we've been preparing a prospectus for food sector, actually include horticulture in it. So, but it's not been released yet, so I have to put it like restricted. It's supposed to be released next month. So the prospectus itself is targeting foreign direct investment for them to understand the situations, the advantages of our sectors, and then to make sure that they interest in our sector. So there are like many things that it's good for us or as our advantages, such as we have like scale and reliabilities. We are well-recognized IP cultivars and research ecosystem. We do have like off-season access to key markets, high integrity production, resilient regions, and crop diversity. I think that most of you already know, so I'm not going to repeat. But then we're trying to divide our crops into two major types: the established crops and the emerging crops. So established crops, you probably see that it's the major ones. That's the most of the exports already there. So I mean, it's well known by most of the international markets, like kiwi fruits, apple, pears, onion, potatoes, cherries as well. I mean, Asia. I'm from Asia, so every single like Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, that Taiwan or China has been like having a pack of like cherries from New Zealand is privilege. It's premium. It's a gift. So how can we do better? How can we like export more? And meeting the market demand is a challenge. But then, of course, I mean, established crops, it's already like well established, as you said. Emerging crops, we find good stuff there. Great growth potential. For example, like hops. Hops itself is a couple of years back it's been a major like reputation internationally for our aroma hops. That is getting the craft beer nice and nice like aroma to the taste. But actually, it's more than that. I've been working on another project that is extracting hops ingredients into making weight management nutraceuticals. That is fitting into the great like GLP-1 types of like category, that helping people to reduce weight or manage their weight. So our horticulture is not simply a fruit or vegetables. We can do a much more. So back to the thing is how we can do better or different ways to make it more appealing or more application and more values to our growers. So as part of like the prospectus, it mentions the Asian is still the highest, I mean, in terms of like export value, the destinations for our horticulture. Remember, this one is not including any grapes or wines in it, so it's simply the major crops and vegetables and fruit and vegetables. So that's exactly aligned with the investors' interest into our sectors. So because investors' interest aligned with what they want in business. So their business interest is to secure the supply of the produce. So that's why, I mean, Asian investors is still quite an important and very important source of investors for us. Right, typical sustainable investment from my point of view, or we normally see, generally in this sector, they include growing high-value crops. That's so obvious, like effective land use. Vertical farming, I think it's been like 2-3 years ago that was quite a hot topic. Not so much now. It's optimization of water, fertilizer, and pesticides, especially like climate resilient. But then the cost of it is still a major challenge. Farm electrifications, I think that has been talking a lot these days, how we can electrify our farms. I remember Mike Casey from NZ Zero, they talking about how to convert his cherry farm into an electric one. So it's a good starting point to think about how we can do it in our farms. Greenhouses, automations, I think people talking about like how to make the best use of our efficiency and improve the efficiency and improve the values of what we can add to our produce and quick, fast as possible. I think that's still important. Resilient cultivars, orchard management, farm waste. I mean, farm waste into rice is another one that I've been working recently, that some Taiwanese investors coming and trying to use some farm waste and turn into proteins that is being able to add into other food productions. So that's the typical investment like we saw, but of course, I mean, it's not just limited to this. I mean, it's just typical examples that we saw most of the time. AFDIs, so far we saw into the hot sector, typical like the professional investors that, it's, be honest, not many. Many reasons, then I will explain in a minute. But then still see some examples like Beiwa, Joy Wing Mao that they invest into TNG Global. I just met with Elle of TNG Global, and she told me it's the 5th time that the change of investors in her company. So, but then these people came in and invest usually with a reason. So Beiwa is the leading fruit and vegetable suppliers around the world. Joy Wing Mao is the largest distributors of fruit produced in China. And they also are the single largest customer of Sainsbury in China. So there's a reason. China Resources investing into scale before. Of course, they sold it recently. But China Resources operates like 3,000 plus of supermarket in China. So there's a very common like theme is they want to secure their produce. They want to secure the supply to their country. So what I mentioned before is like the business interests aligned with investments. That's always come hand in hand. So FS investors from America that they bought a farm and turned to freestyle hops. But then they come in, then they do like processing. They actually build a processing facilities, and they're not part of the cooperatives, but they open up some marketplace for the US market, and they start Happy Research with Courage projects, MPI. So it's contributing actually to the breeding of new cultivars to our hops growing industry outside. So it's a typical example that we found in our, but there's actually quite many other activities involved in our sectors through high net worth individuals investors. High net worth individuals investors is quite common in our industries, but they are domestic. So you have a number of like very rich people that interest in your farm or interest in your operation might be investing into like as an LP to your setup. But then some of the major like fruit crops, like kiwi fruit, cherries, they attract international individuals that they are not actually individuals. I know a number of like Taiwanese like individuals that they actually run a very large distribution network in Taiwan. That's why they're investing into certain like cherry business. So there's a reason why these people are investing. Lately, that we have AIP Migrant. AIP means Active Investor Plus. It's a program to facilitate migrants, visa applicants to get their residence visa. So this is what we call AIP Migrant Investors Program. And then in the last, maybe just starting from this April, that we have included, or put it that way, the policy has included to consider horticulture as an acceptable investment, which is not the case before that. That means they can invest into horticulture investment as a qualified investment qualifying their application to get the resident visa. I think that's a very important move, that to authorize or endorse what a foreign like migrant investors can invest into our sector. So I recall today, this morning, I had attended a breakfast. A gentleman, Richard, I'm not sure whether you are still in the room, talking about this, about what FDI could mean to our business. One thing is the governance, whether you are happy or ready to share. Oh, Richard, you're there. Whether you are ready to share your control with investors. I think that's sensitive but important issues for anyone, no matter they are seeking capital or they are investing capital into the business. Generally, the benefit, easy to tell. So it's a capital to grow, for R&D, provide access to new markets that I just mentioned about, like people come in, secure capital. So that's a typical example. And then they might bring in sustainability practice. And I mean, they, from time to time, will bring in or help you to create new plant species or technologies in terms of like automations or in terms of like TNG, venture plants that are creating new climate resilient cultivars. I think that's a good thing if that's bringing in. But at the same time, share control, governance, it's typical like most people would concern about. So form and structure, important. So we always talk about investment, whether it's a greenfield or brownfield. Greenfield means you're starting from scratch. You have zero to start, and then you have a plain land, and then you start developing it. So it's difficult. So brownfield, that means you already have something that you're expanding on it. So I think that's generally the FDI or corporate investor or professional investors would be love to see brownfield more than greenfield. Greenfield may be more for individuals. For I have only 26 seconds left. So financial, strategic values, acted, not explaining. Limited partnership and company structure. Most of the professional investors prefer company structure. But most of our business setup is in limited partnership. So there is a gap there. So I think this is something that worth us to think about the structure. So the last line that we are seeing here is, are you prepared? Prepare means, have you done enough homework in terms of whether you've done the feasibility, business case, whether you have track records. So this is what we call like brownfield, greenfield. Are you already like running a good and successful farm and business? I think that's important. What you want to use the funds for? Have you already exhausted all your funding sources, for example, from a bank, whether you can borrow the money from the bank first, because that's cheapest capital. Every time when you come to equity, it's more expensive. So form and structure already talk about, then make use of prepare enough time and early engagement with your people, I mean, including the agency and bankers. I don't want to explain this about like OIO regulation. That's still the single major largest hurdle for investors consider, especially if they are foreign direct investors. So we have to give a lot of good reasons why the OIO should approve them to come in. At the same time, when they get out, they might also have the new investors consider whether they are qualified to meet the OIO's requirement. So that's still a single major hurdle if they are having like more than 25% of your company. Anyway, thank you very much for your listening to this. If you have anything, want to speak to me, please do.